I'm from the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, and I've spent the last couple of years on a cattle station near Fitzroy Crossing in the Kimberley. And that's where I really developed my passion for flying. And from there I've spent a couple of years saving and looking into places to train, and Fleet Helicopters kept on coming back as the one to go to. When I arrived at Fleet, it had a similar feeling to the station. Actually, it felt a bit like a team where everyone was mates, which really helped me feel at home, even though I was the new guy who knew nothing and still knows basically nothing about helicopters. The first couple of days I actually helped pull apart that helicopter that we train in for 100 hourly before I even got to fly an hour in it, so that made me realise what was behind the magic of a flying machine, I suppose. One of the advantages of being with Fleet was the high altitude. Obviously up in the Kimberley it's pretty hot, and unlike a lot of schools which are down at sea level, Fleet's up at the second highest airport in Australia, so the performance limitations are quite similar to being up in the Kimberley in the heat. Before I came to Fleet, I really didn't have much idea of what was involved in being a helicopter pilot, but since I've been here I've really learnt, among other things, respect for the machine and how to handle it in the air was a bit of a highlight. When I hovered it for the first time, a bit frustrating to nail, and it just clicked. And when I did my first solo, it was a pretty special moment. Fleet have really set me on the path to where I want to be. I don't really think I'd do it any other way.
All right, well look, my name's James Ranger. I've been here at Fleet Helicopters for the last 12 years. My role is the Chief Flying Instructor and Deputy Chief Pilot. And I actually originally learned to fly here myself, and I think it's a great place to both work and train. With our helicopter flight training, we offer training for both private and commercial licences, although most of our students are commercial students, so they're learning to fly helicopters for commercial operations. We've got a pretty unique training environment up here in that we have some of the best terrain to learn to fly a helicopter in Australia, I think. We've got our elevation here at the airport about 3,500 feet above sea level, which makes us the second highest airport in the country, so we have all the benefits of altitude. We've got gorge country to our east which we utilise. There's areas there with 3,000 feet of vertical terrain to operate a helicopter in, and a whole range of really variable confined areas and operating environments. Yeah, we've got a number of benefits to learning to fly here at Fleet. We've got the fact that we're a commercial company, so students not only are training, but they're getting exposed to the real world industry. So they're getting to see how a job is prepared, how to deal with clients, the logistics of setting up a job, what they need to think about when preparing. And flying's only part of it. There's a lot of other elements that go into becoming a good commercial pilot. So they're in the same hangar as our line pilots in our commercial operation. They're also have access to our engineers. We have our own engineering division here on site, so the guys are getting exposure to looking after the aircraft. They're not just doing a lesson and then going home. They're looking after the machines. They're able to ask questions directly to the engineer, and they're getting a lot of exposure that you can't always get.